Warning, the player selections you're about to see may flop miserably. FPL TV cannot be held responsible for any of your own transfer shockers. Please, FPL responsibly.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Point Predictor, the series where I choose 5 players that I think will avoid blanks in the upcoming FPL Gameweek. Within these predictions, I can only choose one player per club, and I must follow the categories shown on screen. With an early Friday deadline last week, unfortunately there was no Game Week 6 Point Predictor, but let's very quickly check back to Game Week 5 and see how my selections performed then. It was 3 out of 5 correct picks in Game Week 5, with both Richarlison and Callum Wilson getting points in the same game, and Aguero continuing his excellent start to the season. So let's move on to Game Week 7 now, and see which players I think can return points in the upcoming weekend. And if you enjoy the Point Predictor series, be sure as always to drop a like on the video and get subscribed to FPL TV if you haven't already. My defensive choice for Game Week 7 goes to Leicester's Ricardo Pereira. Leicester have only managed 1 clean sheet this season, and that came all the way back in Game Week 1, so it'd be very easy to write off their defence and accuse them of being leaky. However, when looking at actual goals conceded, the Foxes boast the best defensive record in the league, joint with Liverpool, only conceding 5 goals in 6 games so far. This means that in every game they have conceded, they've only let 1 goal in, and this suggests that potentially a few clean sheets could be on the way. In Game Week 7, Leicester face Newcastle, the league's lowest scorers, who have only managed 4 goals in 6 games to open this season. Pereira is also a player that does offer goal threat, as he proved plenty of times last season and as he did in the previous game week, bagging that equalising goal against Tottenham. For the budget midfielder this game week, below the price of 8 million, I've actually chosen a player completely out of form in Wilfried Zaha. John McGinn and Daniel James were strong considerations here, and both remain better options for the long term by the looks. But this was a choice definitely based on the opponent, with Palace facing Norwich this week, one of only 4 teams yet to keep a clean sheet this season. Having looked at some underlying stats, what I found interesting is that despite not scoring yet, Zaha has actually had the most penalty area touches of any midfielder below 8 million this season. He's had 42 now in total, 9 more than David Silva, 16 more than Daniel James, and 24 more than John McGinn. Furthermore, he now faces Norwich, who in fact have conceded the most shots inside the box of any team in the league, with 71 in just 6 games. So yes, this is a complete punt, but the stats suggest that he should see quite a few chances in this game and hopefully get his first attacking returns of the season. My midfielder of any value for Game Week 7 goes to Son Heung-min. The South Korean is one of those players that once he hits a bit of form, he continues that purple patch for quite a few game weeks, and with 2 goals and 2 assists in his last 3 games, I'm hoping he's just smack bang in the middle of a hot streak before heading into this home fixture against Southampton. What really increases Son's appeal is that he's often being deployed as the furthest forward Tottenham player, with his average position heat map showing he's been further forward than Harry Kane in all 4 games he's played so far. What I also like about Son heading into Game Week 7 is that he's a player that really thrives when playing at home, with 10 of his last 14 Premier League goals all coming on home soil, and he's one Spurs player you can definitely say has settled well into life at their new stadium. For the budget forward this game week, below the price of 8 million, the consistent Callum Wilson was of course a strong consideration. But in all honesty, Chelsea's Tammy Abraham kind of picks himself this week and looks a very strong option at home to Brighton. The Chelsea frontman heads into this favourable home fixture in excellent form, scoring 7 goals in his last 4 games. It's also his underlying stats that look particularly impressive, as he's had the 3rd most shots on target, the 3rd most shots inside the box, and also the 2nd most big chances of any player in the league. Chelsea as a whole have as well looked decent going forward, and despite not being solid at the back, they have managed to score 12 goals in the opening 6 games, making them the league's 3rd highest scorers so far. My forward of any value this game week goes to Mr. Consistent Sergio Aguero. There were a few reasons not to back Aguero this week. Historically, he's not as explosive away from home, and his record against Everton in the past isn't the greatest. Neither is City's in general for that matter, with the Toffees often being a bit of a bogey side for City. However, this season he seems to be doing just fine away from home, scoring 4 of his 8 goals when on the road so far. When choosing a premium striker for the point predictor, Aguero always feels like a safe bet, and he's a tough man to ignore, even more so given the current form he's in. The Argentinian has scored in every single game so far, being the first player ever to net in each of the opening 6 Premier League games. And with one eye now on Jamie Vardy's record of scoring in 11 consecutive games, I'm sure that'll provide even more incentive for Sergio to keep finding the net. Despite being a bogey side, his opponents Everton are in woeful form, losing 3 of their last 4 games. They also conceded 2 goals at home to Wolves and 2 goals at home to Sheffield United, both teams that have really struggled for goals elsewhere this season. And that wraps up this episode of The Point Predictor. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if so, be sure to help the channel by getting subscribed. I wish all of you watching a great Game Week 7, FPL responsibly, and I'll catch you all next week.